East Hardwick at Summersweet Garden Nursery, formerly known as Perennial Pleasures.
Good morning. You love plants, you never lose your interest in plants.
Today we're going to take a walk in the garden with founder Rachel Kane, and we're going to enjoy some afternoon tea.
And this is not your first time getting tea here?
No. We're locals.
You come here how often?
Every year.
Why?
Phlox for the English cream tea, because it's the only place I know of in Vermont where you can get one.
Well, first of all, there's Rachel and her family, and just really wonderful people. And
People ask me if I have a favorite flower or plant. I can't answer that question. In the nursery as a whole, I've got about 800 varieties growing here. This nursery is over 40 years old. Started with 6 packets of seeds way back. I started this nursery so I could grow heirloom varieties of ornamentals, flowers and herbs mostly. And I got into phlox. I have my Phlox Fest every year. This is the 23rd year for the Phlox Fest.
it has gotten so
It's a wonderful, robust grower.
Yeah, it is.
Are you talking about creeping phlox? The short spring creeping phlox? My folks bought it in 1971. We grew up here. When we moved here, it was just a meadow. It was just pasture even. There was three or four trees, young trees. That was it. So everything was planted. The big trees planted by my father to define the kind of space. My late mother, Judith, she was from England, and she started the tea room. I definitely love phlox, and it's also nice because it's a North American native plant. I have a focus on native plants for their contribution to the ecosystem and how this supports insect life in our environment. And in fact, a lot of the flowers that bloom in late summer are North American natives. So many of the sunflowers, the purple coneflowers, Heliopsis and Helianthemum. There's a lot of Helios. I think those are white admirals. This is Summersweet, a North American plant, and this is what I renamed the nursery after. I started it with Perennial Pleasures Nursery. It was a real homage to the old plants, but I just felt like freshening things up after nearly 40 years. Also to reflect my growing interest in native plants. Lily leaf beetle. Yeah, here they are. It's one of the most effective defense mechanisms is to cover yourself in your own excrement. Really gross. I don't do anything against insects. I'm quite a fan of the insect kingdom. And when you have a lot of diversity in your garden, the insects tend to keep each other in check. This weedy area here, this is being laid out to be a demonstration garden for a pollinator garden. And this trench here is a hugel culture bed. When it's finished, it's like a lovely deep, nutritious bed that's about that deep, that's good for 15 or 20 years. My mother found this door in a shed about 60 years ago and brought it up to Vermont with her, and it was in the barn for about 40 some odd years waiting for the project. And at last one of my brothers decided to build something for the door. That's the story of the wonderful garden shed door. We've always called it the secret garden. And it's got a wonderful stone foundation that we believe was the first house on the property. And he later built the brick house in about 1835 or 40. We're very rich in stones here, marvelous stones that we've set up here and there and working around. Now this is the herb garden. My father was a landscape architect, and he actually specialized in historic landscapes and gardens, and he laid this out and built it like an English herb garden. There's a lot of good medicinal plants that grow in here, and the mints that we put on our cucumber sandwiches. I say basil, my mother was English. So this is where the potted plants are like funky greenhouses. Well, this used to be the pig yard. Didn't need to fertilize it probably for about 20 years after that, but it's August. So some things look great, some things are getting a little tired. I can't grow everything myself, so I really try and focus on the herbs for starters, and the old-fashioned ones, and the things that you can't find in other nurseries. Oh, the hollyhock special is just over there. People do come from all over. Certainly if people are interested in phlox. There was someone here yesterday that drove up from Boston area. I think a lot of people like to come every year, and and see what's happening up here and see what's happening in the gardens and maybe stay for tea.
Happy birthday.
All of our birthdays.
Happy birthday.
Good, sweet friends. And the fact that I made it this far.
English cream cheese, scones, and cream and jam, and cucumber sandwiches.
Now I'm going to try one of these cucumber sandwiches.
My mother especially recognized that give people something else to do when they're here, make it worth the drive.
Is today your birthday or around your
No,
birthday?
it was actually July 11th, but we had a little weather
Water event.
disturbance.
Oh, that we did.
We can hear the Lamoille River down through East Hardwick, which sort of chewed East Hardwick to bits a few times in recent years, but it's luckily down in the middle of the village, but we can always hear it. East Hardwick is just a little village sort of perched on the hill, so some places were flooded, but nothing like it happened further down.
What kind of tea did you get?
Mélange du Chamonix.
Ooh.
It is a fine black tea flavored with cocoa, cardamom, and cinnamon.
I feel so British all of a sudden, having my afternoon tea in this lovely garden.
You couldn't even see everything in one afternoon or morning here. It's just my kind of place.
Summersweet smells so good, and we will get stuck in Vermont with you again real soon. Time for my tea.
We don't make fun of tea around here.
I'm not making fun.
I'm
also a fan of tea.
Ceaseless toil.
Is it?
Well,
It's a lot of work.
many of us look forward to November. We do.